Morning, everybody. Hope you all are doing well today. Just want to mention real quick, apologies for not posting that much last week. I'm still trying to catch up a little bit and get everything ready for the next couple weeks. Do want to mention a couple announcements before we get started. First and foremost, do remember that you have your last media flight plan exercise due on Thursday. That is chapters 13, or exercise, 13 and 14. So please finish that as soon as you can. And again, that is available up on As You Learn, and it will be so until that Thursday or this upcoming Thursday. The other thing I do want to mention is that you will obviously have a test beginning on Monday of next week. So that's what I'm going over right now on exam 2. Tuesday, I'll actually talk about media flight plan, exercises 9 and 10, and just give you a little bit of background in terms of, again, what are some things that we could be doing for each one of those. I know some of y'all had a few questions about 9 and 10, but it's just a review. And again, just try to keep you up to date with everything in that regard. So I do also want to mention that this upcoming week I'm going to be in Dallas. So I may not be as responsive as I normally am on emails. I know I've been a little worse recently, but like I said, I might not be as responsive as I normally am. So just keep that in mind. Please be patient, and I should be able to get back to you. I'll have my phone on me, and obviously I'll be using my laptop, so I will be grading. I might make a video while I'm there. I'm not 100% sure, but definitely today and Tuesday we'll have videos describing the content information there. So just keep that in mind. Wednesday through Sunday is when I'll be in Dallas, so just letting you know. So that's pretty much it. Keep working on your plans book. Again, I'm not going to have anything really assigned for the rest of the semester when it comes to your plans book. So just keep on track of it. If you have questions, please email me. This is what this opportunity and time is there for. I want to make sure we're all on the same page in that regard. So please just let me know when that time comes up. Okay, so for media planning, and we're going to look at our second exam. And I do want to mention that this second exam will probably be a little bit more difficult than the first one, especially even with an open book, because this is going to be more applied than just knowing the information. So I will mention that the online specifications, I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into it. Online specifications, again, are going to be open Monday morning, 4 a.m. to Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. Don't start on 11:30 on Wednesday. I already mentioned that. And once the test is done, it is done. So I have had one or two emails about an online, not an online. I mean, it is online, but taking the exam early. Please let me know ahead of time if you do want to request that. If you already have, I'm already in communication with you, and I'm going to try to work out a solution there. But again, Monday morning through Wednesday evening is when it is going to be due. 75-minute time limit. Again, I don't think it'll take you that long. I'll need paperwork. If you need more time, just let me know. But like I said, it's the format of the exam really does not inherently take that particularly long, especially with an open book. It will be located in week 14 tab of As You Learn. So again, just be on the lookout for that. And you get 2 attempts. So only if something crashes, I'll only take the last attempt if you take the exam twice. That's happened twice so far. And I think most people either did as good or maybe slightly worse than the first time. So again, it's a gamble you run. Just something to think about. I will mention, though, because I got a lot of emails about the scoring system being out of 130. I'm not doing optional essays this time around. They are required essays, but I'm going to basically give you a roadmap to answering those questions correctly. But I will mention with those essay questions, real quick, is this particular exam will be out of that 100 points. So when you see your score, it will be out of 100. The same went with the other exam. The percentages were messed up. I'm just a little hair disappointed with As You Learn, but again, both of these exams are out of 100. It's just that the other one had those optional essays, and I had to make it out of 130 per the website, even though it was only out of 100 points. So again, if you made a 94, don't look at the percentage, just look at the number. If you got a 94 out of the 130, you got a 94 out of 100. So please keep that in mind. Like I said, there are a lot of people that were really upset about that. But again, for this case, it will be strictly out of 100, so there will be no misinterpretation for it. As far as the test format, it's going to be multiple choice this time. It's going to be an A through D question. I don't use E, but I will use a couple all of the above. But I don't do the none of the aboves, all the aboves, and answers A and B only, that kind of thing. I'm not going to do that. It's going to be maybe a couple all of the aboves, but other than that, it should be pretty straightforward in terms of how I'm going to put this into perspective when it comes to multiple choice. So it's going to be all based on media flight plan, so I don't diverge into David Meerman Scott this time. Again, this is something that I'm going to mention in terms of more applicability instead of the just knowing the terms in this case. And then 50% will be essay. Oh, I forgot to update that. So this will just be 3 essays. I'm going to change this real quick. Sorry about that, everybody. 3 essays. And they are all required. I'll write that down too. I knew I would miss something. So 3 essays, all required. Like I said, I'm pretty much going to give you the roadmap for how to do well on that. So that's going to be how the test will be distributed. For content, it's going to be responsible for chapters 1 and 2 and 5 through 9 through media flight plan. So it's going to be revisiting a couple of terms in chapters 1 and 2. That's the only reason I have those up there. I mean, I don't like doing comprehensive exams. However, in this case, I still want you to know the terms, and instead of just knowing them, I want you to be able to apply them. So, know in this instance, social media and Web 2.0 is talked about in Chapter 2. Audience accumulation will be on there. That's about the only thing I can think of that I included from Chapter 9. Be aware of it, though, because that's going to be a big component in terms of one of the questions for this exam. So Chapter 9 is a bear to calculate, and that's one of the reasons why I don't necessarily have you do a lot of formulas off of Chapter 9, because we're talking about multiple audience accumulation. I would love for you to look at it, give it a shot, see what you think of it, but it is difficult, and that's one of the only places of math here in media planning that I would actually say that this is pretty difficult. Media vehicles, in this case, we'll talk a little bit about, non-traditional, traditional, that kind of thing. You might want to look at some areas when it comes to considerations for media vehicles, whether it be frequency, cost per thousand, so your CPM, creative goals. What are those in terms of considerations for your media vehicles? Know your audiences here in terms of who your primary audience is for a media plan. So think about this in terms of clients, accounts, media buyers, creatives. Not so much creatives in this case, but again, think of those audiences. Know your difference between your brand and your category indexes, and what index numbers represent. So those are these two right here. And then a lot of these are just based off of what we've gone over. Net reach, gross impression, frequency, your web measurements in terms of unique visitor hits, and then CPM, CPP, and GURPS. Again, these are all based on chapters 1 and 2. And like I said, know how to apply them. So I might give an example. I might give a definition of, and you just need to know the difference between some of these. So again, I'm really going to try to hammer this in there of understanding exactly not only what those terms are, but at the same time how to report them. So again, the applicability is just as important in this case, and it really helps if you want to deliver this information to an employer. So some of you have talked about potentially utilizing this information and using it for a business and so forth, and I strongly encourage that. But just keep in mind here that when you're using this, again, knowing the terms is going to be essential here. And then the last thing, other content you may need to know, this is kind of a hint. Know how to develop a media plan, something we've already gone over, and this is why Chapter 5 is still in there, and the components involved. So it's not just listing, as a few of you did, it wasn't that much, but a few of you just listed the media plan. I want to know what those components are in this case. Know what a SWOT analysis is and how it can be specific to media planning. Remember that this isn't a marketing SWOT analysis. So you'll have to keep that in mind when you're developing this answer in your brain here. How will it differ from marketing to media planning, etc.? So again, please keep that in mind when you are doing this particular question. Really think about this, because knowing what the SWOT analysis is and understanding how it's specific to advertising, not inherently marketing, will make a big deal. Because a lot of, say for example, going into some of the SWOT analysis that you provided for me for your organization, and a lot of them were really, really good. You understood the material really well. There were a couple people that I felt like it was more of an overall SWOT analysis, which is fine in terms of like weaknesses per se. You couldn't control it with your advertising. You couldn't control it with media planning placement, and that was something that was I felt like could have been done a little bit better in this case. So just, again, something to think about. This is going to be real important. And then know what a media mix is and the strengths of weaknesses of each one. So think about digital, think about mobile, think about non-traditional, think about traditional, and what are some of those strengths and weaknesses. I'll probably pick two and have you compare, contrast, that kind of thing, and understand, again, what those strengths and weaknesses are. So this is basically how the exam is going to be formatted, structured, so forth. Again, you will have 75 minutes to complete it. I don't think it will take that long. But in this case, just remember, take your time with it, answer it as effectively as possible. I think for the most part, everybody did really well on the first one. And again, this one might be a little bit more difficult, just forewarning, just because you might have to take one step further rather than just defining this information. So, again, I know I'm kind of beating a dead horse in this case, but it is very important to bring that into consideration. So that's it for today. I will mention tomorrow I will go over exercises 9 and 10 of Media Flight Plan. So just to see if you got the right answers and whatnot. And again, please be applying these, because this will come up on your final media plan at the end of the semester, which I believe is December 6th. That due date is on As You Learn. So I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Okay, thanks. Bye.